Hey everyone, Mark and Julie Bennett from RV Love, coming at you from Old Orchard Beach in Maine.
Beautiful here, but we are going to be live on Wednesday, July 24 from 8 p.m. Central with your RV wingman, Alan Warren. So come and join us live. We'll be streaming here. Click the like button here on this video right now and you will get a notification of when we are live. Bring along all of your questions and you're going to call in, we're going to chat, hang out, talk about anything and everything RVs. So click like below on this video now and we'll see you on Wednesday the 24th from 8 p.m. Central. See ya.
All right, I am Alan Warren, the RV Wingman. This is the After the Show, part 2 of our great interview with holistic dog trainer extraordinaire, Mr. Roman Gottfried. And if you didn't catch part number 1, you need to watch it, listen to it, maybe share it with your dog-loving friends because Roman is super, super smart. Now, Roman, what are 1 or 2 of the easiest things to teach my dog for the average person to do, for the average pup?
The easiest thing to teach your dog is to be calm. And that's one of the most important exercises you can teach your dog. Calmness is what the body makes healthy. So you want to have a calm, healthy dog. Automatically, the dog will sit when he calms down. So what I would give an exercise is take a treat in your hand and hold it in front of you, showing what you have to show. And you let the dog smell only 1 or 2 smells and then pull your hand back and show it in front of your chest. Be upright, have your dog standing in front of you. Don't tell him to do anything. Just he knows that you have a treat. And you wait patiently until the dog sits. When the dog sits, he automatically, on his own free will, when he comes down, he will offer that behavior as a signal that I'm patient, I wait for you to give me that treat. That you call, awesome, that's a nice sit, and you give the dog a treat.
What about using too many words? You know, we talk to them in complete sentences. Isn't it important to have some trigger words that are consistent all the time?
I thank you for that question. It's a very important question for everybody to know. Dogs don't listen to stories. Blah, 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 blah. What the dog listens, he listens to key sounds. Let's say, if I say sit, it's it. It's not the S or at the end. It's kind of how it sounds. So if I say sit, eat, meat, it sounds always the same. The dog will try to figure out that pattern is expected to that particular behavior, and the dog will remember. You can say to your dog, for example, meat, and you expect the dog to sit, and when he does it, you just give him a treat. So the word doesn't actually mean anything to the dog unless you create a value around that.
Okay, that makes sense. We use the word treat all the time around the Warren house. What about in terms of breeds? Are there any particular breeds that don't respond as well as others? Or are they pretty much all the same? They follow the same principles?
That's a great question. I hope you guys don't get bothered by the sound of the neighbor here mowing his lawn. So different breeds. So each breed has a breed trait. They were bred to do certain things. Now, some dogs have difficulties doing something else than what they have into them. So, for example, you cannot ask a dachshund to lay down because he has a problem with it. So that dog will be difficult to train to lay down. However, it's easy to see sit because it's only short distance to do it. A greyhound, for example, who is so much energy and he's about to stand and be ready to run, ask him to sit is something very difficult. However, he will do it on his own. What other breeds do we have? We have protection breeds. And so protection breeds are being triggered by so much environmental factors. And so if you want to teach them something, they want to make sense of it. They have judgment. They understand justice. And so if I come in with a very imposing question like, why didn't you do that? The dog doesn't understand what he's talking about. He sees me confusing and he actually will respond negatively to my interactions. So if I don't make sense, if you don't have a logical sequence of my behavior, the dog doesn't feel doing what I'm telling him to do because he feels like I'm not balanced.
What about when you're training a dog, making sure there's no other distractions? It ought to be one-on-one time, or does it matter? Should there be other dogs around, other people in the room, or should it be one-on-one working with your pet?
I love your questions. They really I really recognize that you really love dogs and you really know about stuff. When I teach dogs certain behaviors, I want to start with a very low distraction. Basically, I start in my living room. And then from my living room, once the dog gets the concept what I'm asking him to do, I move that information in my backyard where there is low distraction. If the backyard is still too high distractions, I go in the garage, pull the car out, put the dog in and start working in the garage. And then I open the garage door, so I add a little bit more distractions, but I'm still in the garage. And then I'm moving outside. So I try to add a little bit more excitement, a little bit more distractions to the dog as I see it fit and as I can see it handling it.
So baby steps. Start small and gradually go out and introduce them to things that are more distractions as long as they can stay focused on you and the command.
Exactly.
What about spaying and neutering pets? Is it true that a spayed or neutered dog is easier to train than one that isn't?
It's a very sensitive question. I'll give you my personal opinion. It's not for everyone to follow. It's just my opinion. I feel spaying and neutering is very important to control, the overpopulation of animals. However, I feel everybody should have the right to recognize that if he's responsible, he understands the responsibility of having an intact dog, like the Europeans have. Many European countries actually don't allow spaying and neutering. And we need to recognize that spaying and neutering actually doesn't affect the behavior itself. It affects the hormones. There is a misconception that if I spay and neuter my dog will be less aggressive. Actually, scientific proof right now is that it actually makes it worse.
Really?
It makes it worse. There are some scientific studies done lately and confirming that dogs who are spayed and neutered with aspect to change the behavior, actually it got worse. If we see it from a medical perspective, and I'm not a medical person, I'm just a person who's just more interested in this medical stuff. When we change hormones, we change hormones. Hormones have effect to all the dog's body. But if hormones are regulating the system of how a dog's emotions are, and we send them off balance, then we unbalance emotions, and emotions makes the dog's behavior. So yes, we do affect the dog's behavior, but sometimes if I spay and neuter the dog would not stop being a jerk, doing certain things. And if I think that my dog is less aggressive, if I spay and neuter him, if his aggressive comes in out of fear, that will not change either. So the dog will get stuck with his problems even if I spay and neuter. And sometimes going through a trauma of going to the vet's office and being handled by strangers may even increase that problem.
Okay, you have probably not listened to very many of my radio shows, but I typically end the show by saying that the way that we spell love is T-I-M-E. And I think that for me, that's what the way you spell love with your dog is T-I-M-E. And I read something on your website about the first 3 weeks are critically important when you get that dog. The first 3 weeks of your relationship is really important. Talk with us about that.
I feel the first 3 weeks of the dogs being in the new family are as important as the imprint period from the dog's birth. So the imprint period is the first time where the dog interacts with his physical mother and parents, and that implements how the dog will respond to his environment. Now, when the dog comes into a family away from his own family, that imprint period, the second imprint period, the imprint period where the dog recognizes his environment, he's being very observant about his environment. He's trying to find routines. He finds to try where he fits into that system. And so once in these 3 weeks, all this information is being processed from the dog, and then he makes an assumption based on my observation the last 2 weeks. This person and this person do these things, so therefore I'm left with doing this thing. And if we don't control that experience on that dog in these first 3 weeks, if I don't create a secure attachment relationship with my dog creates his own job description, he creates his own ideas about the family runs, and if I don't control morals and ethics, that dog is gone. He will create his own behaviors, and likely, based on statistics, 10% of those dogs will end up back in the shelter.
And I think that that's sort of like human beings, the importance of boundaries, knowing your limits, knowing what is expected of you, knowing where you're comfortable, knowing who you can trust, and all those things. A dog is the same thing as a child in that regard. At least I think it is.
I agree. And I know some people have kind of, red flags coming up with how dare we comparing dogs with children. Let me explain. 40,000 years, scientifically proven, dogs live with humans. On their own free will, they came into human environment because they see a benefit from it. In that period of 1,040,000 generations of dogs, if my calculation is right, dogs start adopting those human behaviors and make them their own because they see this as family. So we basically have a second species next to our species start adopting our behaviors, our emotions. And dogs, compared to wolves, actually use their face structure more than wolves do. So dogs use facial structures and facial reading that wolves don't do. So we see that even dogs over this period of time have so much distance from a behavior perspective and so close to human environment.
You know what, Roman? I could listen to you forever. But I'm a dog lover. I think that you bring so many things and make things clearer for me, as well as make me think of things I've never even thought of before and consider. Talk to me about, so many RVers, we love to carry our dogs with us, but many dogs in an RV park are super aggressive. Can anything be done about them while they're in a campground? Maybe putting a choke collar on them or just stay away from them?
Thank you for that question. I think many people have problems with their dogs. Some people express it, some people not. But I think that particular issue of dog being aggressive in the RV park has a cause and has a reason. I want to share that with you. Now, the reason why dogs get reactive, let's call it that name, is because they are totally insecure. Imagine all of a sudden they're being moved around with that vehicle, being in an insecure place they've never been before, and suddenly they have to deal with a new environment. Their safe space is gone. Imagine I drop you off in a strange country and you have no clue what's happening. You will be reactive. Somebody approaches you, you think it's going to take your bag away. So dogs, when they move, they are more or less sensitive. We have to create a standard routine so the dog can rely on that routine. Wherever you go, the same routine happens. The same time we go outside, the same time we go potty. And because my dogs are all rescues and all of them have some traumas in one way or the other and basically are leftovers of the leftovers, I created my own fence. So I have my own backyard. I have my same carpet, and the same fenced area. So when the dog goes to the RV, even if I'm in a desert or I'm in a green area, my dog, the first impression he has, okay, not bad thing, I'm still kind of home. And then I start introducing him his environment. Hey, follow me, I'll show you their space. We go here, we go there, and I always being in tune with my dog. If I feel him being scared in one way or the other, he feels uncomfortable, I stop that event, I'm going back in the RV.
And just throwing them inside of an RV is not a good idea either. You've got to introduce them slowly into learning that the RV is a fun place to be and not some jail that they've been thrown into.
I totally agree. For us, it's the RV because it's our recreation vehicle. For the dogs, it's a confined space. So when I went through the same process with my 4 dogs, I have a Chihuahua, I have a Creston Terrier mix, I have a Cane Corso, and I have a Chinook dog. Some of you may know that breed. What's happening here is all those dogs are stressed if the vehicle moves. So the dogs really soon associates the RV as a dangerous place. It does things on its own. It's out of control. So the first thing that I did the first week before I actually moved with the dog was their crates and their beds, and we just walk in, have some fun, listen to some music, and then we're out, in and out. And the next thing we're going to do is I start the engine. Hang still around, doing nothing. And then the next week, what I start doing is just moving back and forth with the RV. And everybody's like, oh my God, this thing is moving. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. How about have some treats meanwhile while I'm moving back and forth? And so I desensitized that actions that this big thing does. And even going up the staircase, I do dogs to learn how to go up the stairs in something that is kind of like in a box. It's different in the staircase in your home. It's different to step into the RV place. The steps are different. The place is narrow. The traction is different. There's from the street coming into your new place. That's all these things are weird. So you have to go very slow and start seeing when the dog starts being responding fearful about things. Start conditioning him about feeling good about these things.
Roman, there is so much that we can talk about. There's no way we can cover it all in just one interview.
No way.
We're going to need to kind of wrap this up. Promise me that we can get together again and do it soon and answer some. We've got a lot of people on the live stream that want to have you answer their questions. So can we get you back on pretty quick?
I love your questions, and I'm sure there's a lot of questions coming up, especially for RVs, full-time RVs, part-time RVers. I'm happy to answer questions you guys have.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It looks like you're getting a little bit of a weak internet signal right now, but thank you for everything, folks. That is Roman Gottfried. I want you to check out his website. He does it's amazing stuff, as you can hear. He really has thought this whole thing out. If you're a dog lover, he's a nice man, Roman is, and he's a kind, sensitive man who loves dogs, and he wants you to have the best relationship possible with your dog. And he offers online training. I don't get paid anything for recommending him, but he and I met through Facebook, and that's one of the great things about social media. He's a member of the RV Tips group page, and by the way, if you're not a member of RV Tips, I would encourage you to check it out. Super nice people, 150-something thousand members, very little trash talk, just a lot of really good people, and that's where Roman likes to hang out. Me too. So anyway, what do you think? Y'all learn anything? You want to have him back on? Here's the deal. If you have a question about training your dog, you'd like to run it past Roman, I want you to call our 24-hour voicemail. Leave a voicemail message for Roman, okay? Leave it there. We will reconnect with him in the near future. Play your calls and your questions, and get as many in as possible. The 24-hour voicemail telephone number is 1-330-WINGMAN. That's me, 1-330-WINGMAN. That's 330-946-4626. Until next time, this is Alan Warren, the RV Wingman. Make sure and like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and tell your friends about us. And finally, remember, never, ever leave your good manners at home. So long, everybody.